Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit more technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically, we're going to continue the coverage here of this major Bitcoin breakout that we've been looking at for the last couple of days, because Bitcoin has rallied over 20% in the last 72 hours. Bitcoin has rallied a ridiculous amount, and is currently sitting and trading just a hair above $5,000, when Bitcoin was trading around $3,800 a week and a half ago, guys. This is a major move for Bitcoin, and one that we're definitely going to be talking about. And in today's video, I want to discuss the recent actual bearishness that we've seen come out of Bitcoin following this rally, because over the last 48 hours or so, it had been nothing but green for Bitcoin. Bitcoin just rallied and rallied and rallied and rallied, and then following that, we actually saw three black crows form last night, and we actually see that Bitcoin has moved and corrected a little bit. Could this be the beginning of something bigger? Is Bitcoin about to fall back over? Is Bitcoin about to rally through the ceiling and go all the way up to $6,000, or is a Bitcoin correction coming in the next couple of days? We're going to be discussing all of that and more, and looking at a lot of different technicals that we haven't covered yet on the channel in today's video. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, definitely consider dropping a like, hitting that subscribe button, and smashing that notification bell, guys. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. As I said, Bitcoin is trading just a hair over $5,000. It's actually down about $15 ever since we started the video. As you can see, it's trading around $5,008 at the current moment. And interestingly enough, Bitcoin is actually garnering support here on the 50-hourly moving average. This moving average is one that we're going to be looking at a little bit later on in the video out on the daily chart. But for right now anyway, on the hourly chart, it has been providing Bitcoin a strong level of support over the last 24 hours or so. Bitcoin has come down and tested it once and now twice. And Bitcoin is attempting a short-term little bounce, but as you can see from what has happened over the last 2 or 3 minutes, Bitcoin isn't really doing a great job about that right now, but of course that's on the minute chart, neither here nor there. Now, the thing I want to talk about in today's video is the fact that Bitcoin is ridiculously overbought on the RSI. Bitcoin is sitting at around 89 on the RSI right now, sitting up here around 88 to 89 on its daily RSI, which is an absolutely absurd level. If you come up here and grab your cross, we can see that the last time we saw Bitcoin at these ridiculously high levels was during the climax of the last bull market, guys. Bitcoin's RSI has not been anywhere near this overbought in quite some time, and the last time before the bull market that Bitcoin's RSI was that overbought was actually in May of 2017. That's nearly 2 years ago. In the last 2 years, Bitcoin has only been overbought this much twice, and one of those times was at the climax of a bull market. That is a very bearish sign for Bitcoin, actually. It's a good sign when RSI is moving to the upside, because that indicates that there's bullish strength. But after the RSI has already gone and rallied this high, that's actually a bearish sign. And the reason for that is because that's what RSI tells you. When RSI is in overbought territories, that means that, well, the market is overbought, as you might be able to discern from the wording of how you read the RSI. And when it's down here around 20 or 10 or 20 or 30, that means that Bitcoin is oversold. And a lot of times the reason that we look at RSI so much is because RSI helps to give us an idea of when Bitcoin is actually going to start some of these corrections and change direction here in these rallies. When Bitcoin is oversold down here, down around 30, then typically Bitcoin is at the bottom of a rally or a downtrending rally. And typically when Bitcoin's RSI is sitting up here above 70, that means that Bitcoin has already gone on a major rally and is about to see some kind of downtrend. And that's exactly what we're looking at right now, guys. Bitcoin had already been rallying for about 2 months before this move came in and just blew Bitcoin through the ceiling and Bitcoin took off like a rocket ship. Bitcoin had already been moving to the upside, so Bitcoin's RSI, when this move started, was already sitting up around 65 or so. And now that Bitcoin has blown the roof off and rallied all the way up here to $5,000 out of nowhere, Bitcoin's RSI is very, very overbought. And the main analogy that I want to make in today's video is actually to something that happened in 2015 that I've discussed in previous videos, but there's a lot of other similarities to this that I haven't discussed that I want to look at. And one of those similarities would actually be back in 2015. If we go all the way back over here, we see that Bitcoin rallied in a very, very bullish way, broke a lot of important levels of resistance, such as the 200 daily moving average. We'll be looking at that a little bit later on in the video. Bitcoin rallied through these moving averages and looked like, back here, it looked like Bitcoin was about to start a bull market. It was not to be. Bitcoin fell back over and went down and actually retested the all-time low for Bitcoin during this bear market. It ran all the way down here to around $200. The actual bottom was around 160 to 170, but Bitcoin basically went all the way back down here to the bottom after having this little false rally. Now, that's not to say that I think Bitcoin is going to go all the way back down to $3,000 from where it is right now, but based on the market that we saw in 2015, that Bitcoin has been mirroring almost perfectly, guys. Bitcoin should actually be in this state right here not in this state right here. We haven't seen this happen yet unless we're seeing it happen right now. We haven't seen Bitcoin go and have all of those preliminary breaks of moving averages and market structure establishment that we saw before the actual bull market started here at the end of 2015, like we did over here. We saw this happen first, and then we saw the bull market form. So the question now is Bitcoin about to enter a bull market, or is Bitcoin actually just establishing that first little breachhead and that first assault on the bears from which we will actually start a bull market in 3 or 4 months? Is that what is happening? Is that what is happening? I can't speak. There's too many S's in that sentence. Is that what is happening, or is Bitcoin actually just about to start a bull market from here? Well, guys, I'm going to tell you what. I think I'm on Team Bear right now, actually, and I think that Bitcoin is going to correct from here. And I'll tell you why. If we look here at the hourly chart, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, Bitcoin had been doing nothing but rallying. And as you guys will know, if you go back and watch yesterday's video, I was a little bit more bullish on Bitcoin. I was talking about Bitcoin rallying and price targets for Bitcoin. But the reason that I was still bullish on Bitcoin was because Bitcoin was trending to the upside there. If you go back and you watch yesterday's video, I talked about how if Bitcoin were instead trading sideways or trading to the downside, I would be far less bullish on Bitcoin because it would be indicative that we may be about to see some kind of Bart Simpson pattern and Bitcoin fall over and correct before we see the actual bull market start. And as you can see, guys, Bitcoin is no longer trading in an upwards direction. Bitcoin is actually now trading to the side, which is kind of what I was talking about in yesterday's video. If Bitcoin starts trading to the side or starts trading downward, then that would be a bad sign for Bitcoin. And that would stop looking like a flag. It would start looking like a warning sign of a potential correction on Bitcoin. And that's all not even to mention something that I'm seeing on this chart. And that would be this pattern right here. You guys may be familiar with this. It looks a little bit like a circus tent, but the technical term is a head and shoulders pattern, guys. And I will be the first to admit, this is not the sexiest head and shoulders pattern on the planet. It's not going to win Miss America or anything. It's not a very good looking head and shoulders pattern, but I think it definitely constitutes as one. Bitcoin definitely does have a shoulder right here, definitely does have a head right here, and depending on what Bitcoin decides to do in the time that this video goes on, because it's down $40 since we started recording this video, depending on what happens here, another shoulder may form, or Bitcoin might just fall over, and that might actually be the head and shoulders pattern. But unfortunately, Bitcoin has gone ahead and established a head and shoulders pattern here. Like I said, not the most beautiful looking head and shoulders pattern, but definitely one that I would consider to be valid. And that is typically a topping out pattern. That typically is a pattern that is going to be warning you of some kind of bearishness to come. And that leads me into another point that I want to make in this video. And that is that someone mentioned in the comment section down below yesterday a cross between the 50 and the 100 daily moving averages. You know who you are. I completely forget your name. If you mention in the comment section down below who said this, I will pin your comment down there. So to give the person credit, comment down below. I remember that whoever said it was definitely one of the people that watches the video every single day. So tell me in the comment section down below. Make sure you get your credit. But you did mention the 50 and the 100 daily moving averages crossing, and I did want to go ahead and mention that because it is a very valid piece of technical analysis that I have been looking at, but I haven't discussed on the channel. That's why I've had the 50 and the 100, I've been saying the 100 moving average. I meant to say the 200 moving average. That's why I've had the 50 and the 200 moving average up here over the course of this video. This being the 200 moving average and this being the 50. And here on the daily chart, as you can see, the 200 daily has been curving down ever since about the June-ish area of 2018. It's been moving to the downside and acting as a ceiling for Bitcoin. Well, now, of course, Bitcoin has broken through it, and as of course, I've discussed in previous videos, that's the first time that Bitcoin has broken the 200 moving average since the beginning of the bull market over here. But if you bring up the 50 moving average out here on the daily chart, we actually have another sign and another signal that we want to look at as well. As you can see, the 50 daily moving average has been curving up and actually garnering support for Bitcoin. It's been giving support to Bitcoin, kind of a zone of support to Bitcoin, and kind of defining the bottom for Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks. But it has been curving to the upside. And eventually, of course, these two moving averages are going to cross. The 200 daily is going to continue curving to the downside just about no matter what Bitcoin does. The 50 daily moving average, especially since Bitcoin rallied, is going to continue moving to the upside, and these two are going to cross at some point, and that would be what is known as the Golden Cross. You guys may remember way back on the channel, way over here in March, if you're an OG subscriber and you've been watching the channel for over a year, you'll remember when I discussed the Golden Cross on these two moving averages a year ago when they crossed bearish. We saw the 50 cross below the 200 daily, and back over here, Bitcoin did happen to see a big crash right around the same time that that happened. Now, if you go back and you watch on the channel when I covered this, I said this probably wasn't a big deal for Bitcoin. The reason I said it probably wasn't a big deal for Bitcoin was because we were already at the bottom of a downtrend and sitting above very crucial support at $6,000. So based on the timing on this, this wasn't a very big deal. But interestingly enough, If you look at where the market is now, excuse me, I still have a bit of a cold. If you look at where the market is now, if these two were to cross at the current moment, it very well could be very bullish for Bitcoin. And in fact, if you look back on the history of Bitcoin, we continue looking back over here. As you guys will remember, Bitcoin never went below the 200 daily moving average down here during the bull market. Bitcoin never did it until the Bitcoin bear market started. But there is something also that hasn't happened ever since the beginning of the last bull market, and that was a cross between these two moving averages. As you can see, there are 3 crosses. These 3 right here. Those 3 crosses, and then a cross over here in March, late March, early April of 2018. Those are the only 4 crosses that we've seen in Bitcoin in the last 4 years. The last one before that goes way back on to the beginning of the previous bear market. And that is very significant. And if we rule out the bearish crosses, we get rid of this cross right here, the bearish cross, and we get rid of this cross right here, then we're left with exactly 2 bullish crosses between the 50 and the 200 daily moving averages. And the first one that happened in the run-up to the 2016-17 bull market was not right over here at the beginning of the actual bull market. The first time these 2 moving averages crossed was actually during this little fake out rally that I talked about earlier on in the video, and I've been discussing as a potential mirror for what is going on in Bitcoin right now. The first time we saw Bitcoin actually have this cross, Bitcoin did not start a bull market. It started a fake rally right here, a sucker's rally as some people have called this. And Bitcoin did not actually start the bull market. If we look back over here to Bitcoin, let's see what's going on here. Well, we haven't seen the cross yet, but let's say the cross happened somewhere over here. Is this the first or the second? Let's go all the way back to Blue's Clues, guys. Is this number 1 or is this number 2? Is this the first cross that's happened? Is this the first cross that has happened in Bitcoin here in 2019? Or is this the second? Well, guys, obviously I'm being facetious. This is the first cross that has happened. And if we look back over here into 2015, I have a frog in my throat, guys. If we look back over here to 2015, the first cross that happened between these 2 moving averages was not actually at the beginning of the bull market. It was actually at the beginning of this little fake rally that ended up becoming a bull market. So the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that I don't necessarily believe that a Bitcoin bull market is about to start. I don't necessarily believe that we're quite there. I think we're close. Don't get me wrong, I think we're very close. I think Bitcoin is going to see a bull market form in the next 3 to 6 months based on this ridiculously bullish move here. I'm not trying to downplay this move. I'm not trying to spread FUD. I am not trying to rain on anyone's parade and say that a Bitcoin bull market is not coming, because I absolutely think that it is. But based on the technicals that I see, and based on the weakness that we've seen out of Bitcoin here over the last day, which, by the way, that's no attack on Bitcoin. We just had a crazy rally. Of course, we're going to see a little bit of weakness from Bitcoin, a little bit of bearish strength come through. Of course, we're going to see something like that. I think there's a decent chance that at best Bitcoin continues to rally here for a couple days, maybe rallies up to $5,400, $5,500, tests resistance up there and falls back over. That's definitely a possibility. This is actually not necessarily unlikely either. If Bitcoin does that, it wouldn't surprise me a whole lot if Bitcoin had a little bit more bearish, a little bit more bullish strength based on how much we've done. But I don't think this is the beginning of the bull market, and I do think we're going to see one final correction before the Bitcoin bull market actually starts, simply because Bitcoin in this rally right here has gone and absolutely blown the top off all of this resistance, has rallied straight through all these resistance levels, and obviously the bulls are going to have a little bit of exhaustion with them right now. They're going to want to take a breather, get some water, drink a Gatorade, eat a protein bar. Of course, they're going to want to slow down a little bit, and the bears are going to have their day for a couple of weeks, and then we'll start seeing some bullishness come back to Bitcoin. And guys, this is all not even to mention the coup de grace of this video, which is, of course, the weekly stochastic RSI. You guys know I've been talking about the weekly stochastic RSI for quite some time, and just because Bitcoin has gone and rallied here and has seen major, and I do mean major bullishness on Bitcoin, just because we've seen a great rally on Bitcoin does not mean that the stochastic RSI is just not relevant anymore. Stochastic RSI is a very important technical indicator, and it is calling for bearishness, and it would actually be a good thing if Bitcoin fell over here for a week or two, fell over, let people fill their bags up now, since we are pretty sure that a Bitcoin bull market is coming pretty soon. You should actually be hoping for a crash right now so that we can buy more Bitcoin at lower levels, so that we can have even more Bitcoin when we go into the next bull market. But this stochastic RSI is something we're going to want to be looking at. As you can see right here, these numbers indicate the levels on both of the stochastic RSI lines. Both of them are sitting at exactly 100, which means the stochastic RSI is the most overbought that it possibly can be, and we haven't seen Bitcoin's stochastic RSI do that in a very long time. when it does stay up there in overbought territories for a long time, you're typically going to see some kind of fall off. As we saw back over here, it doesn't have to be major, but it does have to be something to go ahead and reset that Stochastic RSI, and I do think we're going to see something like that. So guys, if you want my prediction, here's exactly what I think is going to happen. I think Bitcoin is going to stay up here around $5,000 for the next couple of days, and then from there, there's a good chance that Bitcoin is going to have a major move, and I mean a very major move. I'll give you one more example before we wrap the video up of what I mean, but I think we're going to see a very major move on Bitcoin. Whether that's bullish or whether that's bearish, that's not actually the call I'm making. It's very possible that Bitcoin rallies to the upside, starts moving to the upside, has a very major bullish move once again, but after that, whether or not we see Bitcoin rally and then fall over, or just straight up fall over, I think this is going to happen and Bitcoin is going to crash again simply because of the stochastic RSI, because of the market structure that we saw in 2015 that Bitcoin has been mirroring perfectly, because the bulls are exhausted, and because I think we need just a little bit more time for the fundamentals to get fully ready before a Bitcoin bull market starts. Guys, if we look back in time on Bitcoin, and we look back into history, there's going to be something that I've shown you guys time and time again, and it would be this market right over here in 2018, back over here in July. Bitcoin came up here and rallied and tested this level of resistance over and over and over again, and I've showed it to you over and over and over again. Bitcoin tested this level a dozen times or more. It tested it over and over and over and over again. And while yes, Bitcoin did have a lot of bullish exuberance in it right then, it did have a lot of gas in the tank, and Bitcoin was able to rally in a very strong way. Even though Bitcoin was able to do that, what we saw was that in fact Bitcoin came up here and rallied, and it was looking very bullish, of course. If we look here, Bitcoin rallied like 17% in a day. I remember this. I was doing videos on this back then. Bitcoin rallied in a very strong way, tested resistance up here and flagged out, had a pennant, whatever you want to call it. It's not a pennant, it's a flag. But Bitcoin stayed up here below resistance for a long time. And Bitcoin did rally again, which is why I'm saying it's very possible that Bitcoin has one more rally before we actually find this crash. But as you can see, Bitcoin did eventually have that crash to follow. Bitcoin did eventually have to pay for the bullishness that it had put into the market. Bitcoin eventually did have to do that. So even though Bitcoin is sitting up here, and even though Bitcoin could go up here and have another leg up, maybe to $5,500, be careful buying up here, guys, because I don't think this is the beginning of the bull market. I think if we go up here, we're going to see another crash. And then from there, after we come down, test maybe $4,000 to $4,500, then we'll trade sideways for a little while, and then, guys, the bull market that we've all been waiting for will be here. And guys, you should look at that, honestly, as a blessing in disguise, because if Bitcoin does crash again, it does move to the downside again, then we have lower levels to buy in after we've seen the strength that the bulls can actually exert. After we've seen what the bulls can do in these last couple of days, we know that the bulls are strong. We're pretty sure that a Bitcoin bull market is coming, and I think we all know that we want to be there when it happens, and we all want to have positions in the market when we do actually see that bull market start. So it's not really a bad thing for Bitcoin to fall over, just another opportunity for us to load up our bags before the rocket ship takes off and it starts heading towards Alpha Centauri. Forget the moon, guys. We went to the moon in 2017. We're going to the stars this time, guys. Tell me in the comment section down below if you are ready to go to the stars with Bitcoin, because I do think that is going to be what the rest of 2019 and 2020 and 2021, maybe even 2022 look like, guys. I think the next couple of years are looking very bullish for Bitcoin. And if you've been here for the entire bear market with me while Bitcoin has been crashing and crashing and crashing and crashing, let me tell you what, you have balls of steel and you should be proud of yourself. Tell me in the comment section down below if you've been with the channel from the very beginning, and if you've been in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin throughout this entire bear market, guys. I've been making a video every single day on the Bitcoin bear market ever since it started, guys, and it has been a long ride, and I am very much ready for the Bitcoin bull market to resume, because I know I'm ready. Tell me in the comment section down below if you are. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, definitely consider dropping a like. It does help out the channel when you do it. Make sure you hit that notification bell if you are subscribed, which I hope you are. If you're not subscribed by now, guys, what are you doing? It's a red button right below the video. You know how this works. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll see it. Click that button. You'll get notified every time a new video comes out. It'll be great. We'll sing Kumbaya and pop Lamborghinis. We'll pop champagne corks and buy some Lamborghinis when the Bitcoin bull market starts. But my voice is giving out, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, guys. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.